Hello, my name is Dan Johnson and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the brand new 8th Doctor box set entitled Deadly Strangers. So the 8th Doctor's timeline is very complicated, but it's also complicated in terms of releases. Last month I think I did a review of the new Time War box set. Now this box set takes place right at the start of the 8th Doctor's era and is him more like the TV movie. In fact, this set is special for the fact that the writer of the TV movie wrote the first story. It sees his companions, Charlie, who's been around for a very long time. I'm sure if you're a Big Finish listener, you've heard of her and listened to her many times. And you have Audacity, who's relatively new to these sets, but she's been a blast so far. She has been so much fun to listen to, and the dynamic between Charlie and Audacity has been amazing. This time, the Doctor takes Charlie and Audacity on 3 contained adventures, the first one being Panucci and the Doctor. As it sort of riffs slightly on the idea of Vincent and the Doctor, this is a historical episode with the opera writer called Panucci, who wrote plays such as Madame Butterfly, which is referenced throughout. There is also lots of details, so like he wrote 2 acts originally, and later he will write a third kind of thing. But he hasn't gotten around to that yet. So there's lots of those little details, and it's that kind of story. But as you can tell, I'm not really a big fan of opera, nor have I ever heard of Panucci. I don't even know if I'm saying his name correctly. I think the biggest highlight for this story for me is not just the performances, but also the imagery that's coming from the bad guy, and this then influences the writing of Panucci. Episode 2 is entitled Women's Day Off, and this sees Charlie and Audacity taking part in a women's suffragette movement in New Zealand. And meanwhile, the Doctor is helping a schoolgirl with telekinetic powers, a lot like the film Carrie, the horror film. So there's a lot of like throwing people around and people being scared of her and stuff like that. And finally, there's the gloaming, which is, of course, our Mara story. Right on the front of the box set, that snake is very, very recognisable. The snake previously appeared in Kinder and in Snake Dance, and with that you kind of get some of the formula of a Mara story. So you have Charlie, who's taken over, going into a sleep pod, and she will be taken over, and she has her own voice reflected back to her, sort of questioning her personality and who she is, and whether she's doing the right thing. So there are 3 fun stories. I have to say each one does a great job in terms of the imagery and making these things feel real. I think the sound of that design is also part of that, but it also has something to say about their individual topic and their theme. I would argue that I would have preferred a bit more of a bigger wrap up to some of these themes, because sometimes I think that it can be a little bit underbaked when it comes towards the 3rd act, because they set it up so beautifully and it kind of just sort of dwindles a little bit towards the end, or I'm not entirely sure what's happening. In terms of character, one that does stick in my mind quite a lot is a character called Dexter, who's in episode 3, who is a sort of political satire of those that like to go to space, and he's just a bit of an entitled brat. And he's quite fun, but also I absolutely hate what he stands for. Then again, he's painted out really well, and obviously you're supposed to hate him. There is one line in particular that makes me think of like finger guns, and he's kind of delivering the line while doing this, which is quite hilarious. There is no massive sort of arcs with this, really. A lot of our character moments come from their opinions and from their past experiences. For example, Audacity is from a time of the Black Death where mortality was extremely high. So having Charlie in danger, as she is in episode 3, she has some things to say about the loss that she doesn't want to experience again. Charlie also has a crush on the Doctor in episode 1, which I think is a bit off for her. I feel like she's more sort of headstrong than that and more sort of independent than sort of having a crush on the Doctor. But then again, she's been with him a long time, so I suppose that sort of stuff will develop, and I'm going to let that slide. So my final question then is, am I satisfied by the stories? And yes, I think I am. I think I'd really like more. I think that's my problem with this, is that I see these as being quite safe, admittedly. I see them as sort of being safe hands and safe stories where you know you're going to get a full thing and they're not really doing anything particularly new, but that's not a bad thing. I would at some stage like to see maybe not a bigger adventure, but a series of stories where they can call back to previous adventures, and there can be some sort of connective tissue that allows you to understand certain actions that characters make. Because with this, they can't really make these brash decisions or these big decisions because they're doing it in a contained format. I would like to see not a massive arc like Ravenous, but like I say, some connective tissue between them all to sort of see these characters develop a little bit as people. I think this is my last review of 2024, but there is a few box sets that I've not actually talked about on here. If you want to go and check out my TikTok, on there I will talk about different episodes that I have listened to, but may not necessarily have made a full video of. For example, the most recent part of the Paternoster Gang. I say this is my last review. This isn't my last video of 2024, though. I also have a podcast which comes out on Friday the 20th. I have a big Doctor Who video essay on the end of time coming out on the 24th. And between Christmas and New Year, I plan to do a video talking about my favourite box sets of 2024. So I shall see you then. Thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I shall see you soon.